The Rig Veda described river Saraswati as one of the seven sisters, unbroken, pure in her course from mountain to sea, and one which breaks through the ridges of mountains with her strong waves. The Vedic description of the mighty, pure and holy river is not just a conjured up myth, but some historians, so-called historians, distort the facts of history, want us to believe that the Saraswati is a myth, a mere figment of Hindus' imagination. And we are here to destroy these falsehoods with facts and science. Hi and welcome to TFI English, the national and socio-political analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Diksha, and in this video, I will tell you about the Saraswati River and why the Indian government is funding research on it. It's about knowing history as much as it is about creating our future. It's scientific. Let's begin. Repeated scientific and archaeological studies are continually adding weight to the assertion that the river Saraswati is much more than just a myth. The Wire, however, is not convinced. Along with it, acclaimed historian Ramachandra Guha feels the Indian government is wasting hundreds of crores on the lost cause of studying and reviving the ancient river. In a piece oozing with toxic secularism, one Gautam Bhatia, while writing for the far-left publication The Wire, argues that Modi government is pushing down vast amounts of money over a mythological river. The alleged architect begins by saying that the Modi government is focusing solely on Hindu sites of worship and reverence. Whether it be the development works of the Char Dham or the Kashi Vishwanath corridor, Mr. Bhatia is outraged how mosque, chapel and non-Hindu places of worship are being brazenly deprived of government-funded development. Bhatia, whose article was shared by Ramachandra Guha on Twitter, remarked that the most recent Hindu project involves the investigation and re-establishment of the ancient river Saraswati, the underground riverbed in northwest India that has suddenly appeared as a promising geological smudge on the Hindu map and is causing great excitement. As examples, The Wire claimed that the Modi government wasted no time in setting up the ₹6 crore Centre of Excellence for Research on the Saraswati River at Kurukshetra University. Additionally, it accused the Haryana government of spending another ₹600 crore for Saraswati-related projects. Further, Bhatia said, in order to give credence to the Saraswati River theory, a ₹120 crore Saraswati Heritage Development Board has been set up by the government. The fundamental premise of this piece by Gautam Bhatia, whose idea was resoundingly echoed by Ramachandra Guha, is that Saraswati is a figment of Hindus' imagination and that it never existed. As such, since Bhatia for The Wire believes that the ancient river is a myth, no research work must be undertaken at the expense of the government to ascertain whether the river existed or not. Leftists like Ramachandra Guha and Gautam Bhatia are driven by hatred for Hindu civilization. They are truly descendants of the British, who on their part as well worked overtime to discredit India's magnificent history, fearing a cultural awakening among Indians which could lead to their ouster from the country. Now that the Modi government is in power, the same historians are once again up in arms against any and all research work being done to ascertain at an official level whether the Saraswati River existed. We know it did, but for India to accept it officially, the same must be established by science, which is precisely what the government is trying to do. Leftists are scared that the rediscovery of the ancient river or emphatic scientific proof establishing that the Saraswati indeed flowed thousands of years ago would dismantle the historian industry, which has convinced many Indians that the subcontinent's ancient history is in fact mythological. The Rig Veda places Saraswati between the rivers Yamuna and Satluj, which flow to this very day. According to the paper published by R.D. Oldman, a geologist in the Geographical Survey of India in 1886, the ancient Saraswati was fed by the Yamuna and Satluj rivers in the past. In a paper published by premier scientific journal Nature, researchers conclude that 80,000 to 20,000 years ago, the river Ghaggar was perennial and was receiving sediments from the higher and lesser Himalayas. Interestingly, several research papers published in the early 1800s identify the Ghaggar-Hakra stream as the erstwhile river Saraswati. According to a 2016 report of a 7-member expert committee comprising of geologists, archaeologists and hydrologists led by K.S. Waldia, the Saraswati River indeed existed. The committee submitted its report to the Union Water Resources Ministry, after which the Modi government started pushing for extensive research and study of the ancient river, known to be the cradle of Bharatiya civilization. The conclusion of the expert committee was based on a 6-month research. During the research, the committee came across a unique paleo channel relating to the present Saraswati, Ghaggar, Nara and Hakra rivers. The committee studied piles of sediments and found that their feature and shapes appeared to have been brought by a big river much like the Ganga and Yamuna. Vishnu Sridhar Vakankar, the man who discovers Bhimbetka caves and traced the Saraswati river basin, was one of the greatest archaeologists of India. In 1983, Vakankar collaborated with RSS veteran Morapan Pingal and launched Saraswati Research Abhiyan. In their travels across northwestern Indian states, the 18-member team found that Saraswati was Nadi Mata, the mother of rivers. The Saraswati's flow was through northwestern India, and it was bigger than any river of modern-day India. The Indus Valley civilization was dependent on Saraswati, and as the river dried, the civilization is said to have shifted to the Ganges. The latest evidence in support of Saraswati River has been produced by joint research between Physical Research Laboratory and IIT Bombay. According to the researchers, the ancient river flowed through the course of the modern Ghaggar-Hakra river, and there is unequivocal evidence to prove the same. The Ghaggar-Hakra river flows through modern-day Haryana, and most of the important sites related to the Indus Valley civilization were found along the course of this river. As per the research, a river flowed from higher Himalayas between 7000 BC and 2500 BC. The Harappans, who laid the foundation of the Indus Valley civilization, built their settlement along this powerful river. The set time period of the Harappan civilization is considered to be 3800 BC to 1900 BC. The Saraswati River, much like the Ram Mandir, is a generational truth in India. Hindus know for a fact that Saraswati existed. It is the same firm belief of Hindus which has resulted in the Ram Mandir being reclaimed despite Herculean odds. Similarly, the river Saraswati too will be rediscovered and, if luck permits, resuscitated. Leftists would have no problem with billions of dollars being spent on extravagant studies relating to non-Indian civilizations. However, studying the Saraswati river bed has all liberals and Indian haters up in arms. The good thing, however, is that the Modi government is committed to scientifically establishing the existence of Saraswati River. Where India comes from will dictate where we go as a civilization, and no vested interest group can stop India from realizing the glory of its past so as to mimic the same in the future.